stuff like that. Welcome to Ocala.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Glad to have you here.
Yeah.
So we did this Jacksonville a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And before that, the New York show.
That's right.
Ooh,
Yeah,
fancy.
man.
But again, you're joined with Wes. But again, this gives me impetus now that I can talk to you about some of the individual stuff. So
Sure.
whenever I get somebody one-on-one, the first thing I ask is for the origin story. So what drew you to wanting to become an actor, which I believe started with modeling?
No.
Or was that parallel?
It was parallel, and I actually started acting a little bit before that. So I was modeling as a late teenager, but I was just brought up in a very artsy neighborhood, and I grew up in the Village in New York City. My mother is a karate teacher. That's what she did growing up, and so after school, I'd bring my little sister.
Nobody was taking your milk money.
That's right. Yeah, she was one of the first female champs in the U.S. She was 4th degree black belt in Kempo, karate, and jiu-jitsu. So yes, Mom. So she was teaching a self-defense class at a local gym, and I was probably 11 or 12 years old. And I'd walk my sister from school, PS3 on Christopher Street in Hudson, and we'd just wait until she was finished with her job. And all of the trainers that were looking after us were actors who were not working. So one of them had started a theater company in a client's basement in a brownstone, and asked one day if I would be the kid in a play reading. So I went. I was kind of a shy kid. I'm not a natural performer. It's something I had to learn to enjoy with stories that I care about. And I did that play reading. I really liked it, and I was just really fortunate to have been in a neighborhood that had 3 or 4 of the best acting schools in the country in it. So, Uta Hagen's school was around the corner. I ended up at Stella Adler Conservatory at 13. I kind of bounced around at the Atlantic Theater Company, Strasbourg, kind of the names. And I started working as an actor doing commercials, and I was Bobby Cannavale as a young teenager in Third Watch, in a flashback, and then I started modeling. I was 16, 17, 18, and then right after high school, I was looking for an apartment in California. I knew it was what I wanted to do, and I booked Sky High, and it just kind of went from there.
Indeed. So let's talk about Sky High, because it's one of those ones that nobody talks about it, but when one person brings it up, everybody chimes in. Everybody's like, "Oh, Sky High! I love Sky High! I love that one too." It's when you gotta remind everybody of it, and everybody pops around for it. So
yeah,
it just seemed like it was fun.
It was amazing, and it was ahead of its time in many ways. It was kind of like Expendable-ish kind of. Is that the right one? The Pixar one? Do you know what I'm talking about?
The Expendables, no, you're the Incredibles.
The Incredibles. Yes, that's what I'm about. I think the Expendables is a different franchise.
Yeah.
Very different. So
wait a minute.
I was like, hold on.
I don't usually. It's like say no to my guess.
So
actually,
we blowed a lot of stuff up. It was amazing. It was a perfect first experience for me, because I really had never been on a set that big before, and Mike Mitchell, who directed Shrek, directed Sky High. It was a very funny movie. We had half of the kids in the hall, which I was like a huge fan of growing up. We had Dave Foley and Kevin McDonald, Bruce Campbell was in it. All of these amazing comedic actors, and Kurt Russell, who I grew up idolizing, with all of his movies, and they just couldn't have been.
And a child actor.
That's right. It was actually his first return to Disney.
Yeah, that's right.
Since he was a kid.
Yeah.
And I really couldn't have hoped for a better experience, because they were all so kind, and I would show up even on the days I wasn't shooting just to watch how it worked. There's no way to teach you that in acting school. You're in a little like studio on Lafayette Strait and whatever. But when you get there, you actually see, the machinery, and it's so intimidating. And it's just, you've got all of these wonderful artists who have been working forever, and but it's fascinating. And Mike was really cool about just allowing me to show up and just sit next to him as he was doing his thing. And so I just became fascinated with the entire filmmaking process. So it was an amazing experience.
And it served you well in later projects to be exposed. Your first exposure that way too was like very effects laden.
Yes.
Very off-kilter costuming and stuff like that.
That's right. Yeah, it was a good.
Anybody can do a sitcom, but
yeah, I mean, it definitely served me well, because the first couple of movies I did, whether it was Sky High or The Covenant or 10,000 BC, very effects heavy. The acting school I went to, it actually worked out really well, because the Adler technique is an imagination-based technique, and as a kid, you can understand it. It's really beneficial to those who don't have a lot of experience yet. You're 15 years old and you don't really have a lot to pull from. Whereas Strasbourg is very much about pulling from your own experience and using that. But when you're working with blue screen or green screen at the time, dating myself, but during something like 10,000 BC or in Sky High, when they're like, okay, you're running after woolly mammoths, and they put up a few meter sticks, and they're like, okay, that's the eye line up there, and we're just going to work around what you do, and just imagine what's happening, and you're dodging the wing, and you're going to throw and it's all in your head, and there's something really, you say it and it sounds kind of nuts, but there's actually something quite liberating about that, where you can just allow your imagination to just go. And I was a kid, 10,000 BC, I was 19 years old. So it was, those first couple of movies, I was still pretty much a kid, and that my imagination was still quite malleable. So it was a good time for me to get used to that. And it was a good time for me to get accustomed to leading large projects, which is a whole other skill in of itself. I was taught, and I saw with Kurt and later with Andy Garcia on City Island, who's been an incredible mentor for me for 20 years. As the lead, it's your responsibility to set the tone, and you have to carry that, and you set the bar, and I've always taken that really seriously.
The director is the coach. Whoever's first on that call sheet is the quarterback.
Yeah, that's right, exactly, and.